You're the reason why we came here tonight. Like, you wanted us to come to the book club, talk to RCCBC. So we're here, we're talking. What exactly is RCCBC?
First and foremost, we look out for the retailers.
So RCCBC is the Retail Cannabis Council of British Columbia. We are a chapter of 4 other organizations that go by the same acronym, but they're in Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Ontario.
Me and a couple buddies, we started a store. That was when I originally joined RCCBC back in 2018.
It's a privilege to serve our community, honestly. You know, we represent 68 retail brands across BC.
The board is made up of multiple levels of license holders.
1,600 independent stores across the country.
Our goal is to provide as many options to retailers as possible to help them grow, let them take that to the consumers and see what sticks.
We look at, what we're doing on the land and, the impacts of that, the opportunities, the shared inclusionary elements of all that, who we're ignoring, who we're including. Like, we need to be mindful. And that's an ongoing conversation that I'm really excited about.
Reached out to a bunch of allies that are, at that municipal level of politics, and been through a year of like, what should we do? How should we change?
Our fears, our struggles were all very concurrent, and this association was able to sort of facilitate things and actually take our struggles and do something with it.
One of the organizations that worked really hard with the city of Vancouver to create the first ever business license, which actually really forced the hand of the federal government to legalize cannabis, because the city of Vancouver was selling licenses to sell weed, and the feds were like, well, we want a piece. So, so we got to give love to the bureaucrats of the city of Vancouver.
We ended up getting, I think it was 23 letters of support from municipalities and then 7 from regional districts, but it was enough to make that change to get online sales.
Very cool.
Yeah, so that was my entry into the RCCBC.
I see a lot of great leadership and leaders emerging, and I'm excited about, that knowledge transfer that's happening.
Just trying to help bring a lot of fun and coolness to legislation.
I've had the privilege to talk to a lot of government about legalization.
How, in your opinion, has it looked like for cannabis legalization over the last 5 years?
Confusing. So the federal government decides who grows it, the provincial government decides who sells it, and the municipal government in British Columbia decides where you sell it. And each municipality is different. That's in British Columbia. Every single province is different. So, I don't...
Even from cultivation.
Even from cultivation. And some municipalities won't let you cultivate or even sell weed.
I would say that, the failure of legalization, if we want to call it that, was the assumption on the part of our regulators that they were doing something new. And that was not true. There was an existing industry, an existing sector. It was vibrant, it was internationally famous, it was sophisticated, and it was self-regulated in its own way.
The consumers are definitely winning because they're getting the quality that they're looking for now.
Yeah.
And they're getting the product that is getting access safely.
Yeah.
And they can get it consistently.
Yeah.
And they can have it delivered to home.
Before big business and the government got involved, we used to smash it. Real industries with real jobs. You know what I mean? Like, we were making Canada flow.
Our government looked at that and they went, nah, we're gonna get a bunch of tech bros and dudes who know how to grow like golf turf. And that's where we're gonna direct this.
The gardens that are succeeding well today are either from black market or they're from someone that they hired within that came from the legacy market.
The only people that can get licenses back then were patients that are really sick. And if somebody was really sick and they grew a couple extra pounds of weed, they could easily go to one of these many dispensaries, sell it and get some extra money to improve the quality of their life and eat better food, maybe pay some bills and relieve some of that financial stress. And I wasn't against that, but really the money was going truly to the people at that point.
Absolutely. So far, in my opinion, the government's the only one making money all the way along.
100% correct.
Yeah. How does that feel?
Fucking shitty.
You look kind of what has happened in the first 5 years and how bad it still is for everybody, for anybody who is still remaining and trying, hats off.
Absolutely. Because if you've survived to this point, you're going to be around.
Absolutely.
The only winner in this whole legalization thing, it's not the growers. The growers seem to be getting screwed.
The growers are having a tougher time than ever, by the way.
Yeah, but
the pound's in the toilet.
Oh, totally. But the government wins here because they get tax upon tax.
Absolutely.
And it's just insane. Actually, this whole idea of a $1 a gram tax, that was based on a $10 gram, and these guys aren't getting $10 a gram. They're getting like 2 or 3, even less in some cases. So
substantially less. They're paying the same amount of tax.
Right, and at the end of the day, it is about the farmers. It's about the people that are cultivating these products for us to bring to our clients.
I work with the RCC BC, and it allows me to meet great farmers who choose me to sell their weed, and I'm blessed. So thank you, farmers.
It all starts with the farmer.
It's all about.
And if you can't support them, the industry will not survive.
Absolutely, and we also won't have the cannabis that we want to smoke.
Absolutely.
We're breeding, we're making stuff, but honestly, we're working around people that we think are real rock stars, and we're bringing their plant, the original cut from the breeder, to a grower, and not spreading that cut everywhere. That's our strategy. Our strategy is to give a couple of flavors to a couple of people and then stop. To make 1,000 cuts a month and then no more. And having full transparency to those growers.
That makes it boutique.
We want to bring the best cannabis to our clients, and we have to work with what's available. So that's why we do look to direct delivery and to smaller or well-crafted cannabis.
To me, sometimes when I hear people talk prices, and I hear what they say per gram, they do not realize how bad that hurts us growers in the heart.
Oh,
because
man,
they don't understand, like when they're like, oh, we have to pay this for it. I'm just like, man, do you know what I used to get? Like, do you know what the value truly is of medicine, of a plant like this that can create and do so much?
Is the guy down the street selling it for 80 cents a gram.
That's right.
And people need to look at this more like fresh vegetables.
Cannabis is agriculture. I mean, it's a healing plant. A healing plant.
So this is where we as an industry, you know, as individuals, as people that are passionate about it, we all work together.
Step up and say together, this is not okay.
That's right.
And the government, honestly, if you're not going to buy our cannabis, we're not going to sell it to you for that price.
You know, I started growing in the late 1980s, and I'm growing all the way up until now, and I'm still growing, and I'm going to keep growing. I'm going to grow in the legal regime too as well. Actually, I did a crop of hemp, but that's another story.
How did that go?
Oh, it went great. I grew a crop. We dried it. We sold it. End of story.
That's business.
Yeah, done.
So how is it being a retail cannabis owner?
Honestly, it's hard.
I say this to my retailers all the time. You guys are at the vanguard of a very important social project.
I can't agree more.
Right? It's not just an economic project. It's an important social thing.
You know, there's a oversaturation of stores, depending on where you're at.
They're printing retail licenses as well in the city of Vancouver, you know, and I simply just say, okay, like, you know, there's only so many customers in the city.
The pie's only so big.
You really gotta differentiate yourself.
The best way to compete is not compete. Diversify. Get creative. And having 5 stores in your neighborhood, that's tough competition, especially with ounces being pushed down to the $40 range.
Working with my family is amazing, and working with my sister has been great.
Good.
We are opposites, so we really complement each other.
Shortly after COVID,
my
shop, all my staff dispersed when it hit, so I was the sole soldier holding down the fort for 30 plus days just by myself.
Oh, it's been challenging, but yeah, I love it. Every day I wake up, I still want to go to work and sell weed and buy weed, and it's great.
And we started to focus more now on wholesale for cannabis retailers, manufacturing products for like dab accessories like the True Quartz bangers.
We got a chance as retailers to really look at an interesting form of community development, which is exciting.
Super cool.
And that coupled with housing provision and living wage is an active conversation that's doing a lot to advance our industry.
Some of the hurdles that we find, I mean, obviously children peering inside from outside the store as their parents shop is not good on many levels.
As a retailer, you have to go and check 280 different municipal cannabis bylaws to figure out where you can put a shop. Nothing is uniform.
Yeah, that sounds tough to even like start.
We have the 28 limit, gram limit, which also, of course, we'd like that to be lifted.
It's especially hard in BC when you're competing against your distributor. Your complete competition is the people that sell you your weed.
Yeah, like BC
They
Cannabis
set the
stores.
rules. Yeah, they set the rules.
They're the
they
ones
set the
buying
laws.
it. It's a great monopoly.
It's a monopoly on online sales. It's a monopoly in so many different ways,
Yeah.
and it's extremely challenging.
More relationships between the retail owners and buyers and the brand owners, the growers, ensure that they're able to create SKUs and the margins that they need to, that the retailers are comfortable selling.
Totally.
And from there do more and more and more diverse of SKUs.
I think that we really need to speak to government on their terms, because something like rationalizing excise, right? So $1 a gram, I don't believe that that was the intent of that regulation. If you read the regulation, it's 10% or $1, whichever is greater. And the reason that that was that the baseline assumption for the accounting was that cannabis was going to cost $8 a gram wholesale.
It just can't happen if we all stick to our own groups and try and fight our own battles on our own. We all really do.
The government will listen.
How many sectors are there where you, with a whistle and a prayer and a couple $100,000, you could potentially build an international brand? There's not a lot of opportunities like that, right? Especially on an agricultural and sustainable and in my opinion, potentially very interesting from a biomedical and research perspective.
You have to know that the reason why RCCBC has been successful is because we have figured out that the best way to work with government is to speak government, and they speak liquor. So we have figured out that if you speak liquor policy, but Control F, find replace tool and change liquor to cannabis, that you're speaking their language all of a sudden.
So we should be treated as parallel as at bare minimum with alcohol. COVID hits and they're allowed to deliver booze to certain folk, and we were not allowed to. It was extremely frustrating, especially when you have a customer base that rely on that as medicine, even though I'm supposed to say it's recreational, it's medicine. And it was just infuriating.
I thought that the 30-gram limit on carry limit was it just seemed so stigma based. The logic behind
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. You buy as much alcohol as you want. You can go
cases of alcohol.
Go into the liquor store. You could just pile it into your shopping cart.
Why can't you go have a fancy dinner and a fancy dab?
Absolutely.
People are paying $500 to go to Mission Hill. Why can't they spend $500 to go to fucking, I don't know, Dabble Farms?
Sure.
Have
a great meal, slightly infused, whatever it is.
The sad thing about THC inflation is that it was driven wholly by the government wholesaler. This was handed to people who understood alcohol by volume. That's the percentage. That's what makes you intoxicated. We understand that. So let's run with it. That's all we care about. If they were just we want to deliver alcohol in the cheapest and strongest way possible, people would be you're out of your minds.
But that's our industry right now.
That's what they, that is unfortunately the cul-de-sac that they have driven us into with cannabis.
With liquor, you can go to specific stores where they have boutique wine.
Totally.
You can do spirits. You can do the BC liquor store. But at least you have the options.
Totally. Let's not even compare liquor to cannabis.
You can't, but hops and cannabis do come from the same tree. So, it's finding that kind of synergy and symbiosis that has allowed us to really work with the province of BC to really get wins.
I feel like there's still so much work to do.
We've had some really good successes along the way, and we still have a few more to go.
It's been quite a journey. I've learned so much. I love learning, and that's what I love about this industry.
A lot of us are going to be a big part of what shapes the next 5 years. That's going to be the big 5 years of change.
What would you like to see over the next couple years change with RCCBC and genuinely have some big changes happen?
Well, I'm really excited with where we're going.
I'm excited about what Canada has to bring to the international market, and we're going to see big growth.
We need to constantly push for change and just keep pushing.
Okay.
And so really what we do is, we listen to our members and they tell us what they would like to see and what to have done, and then we put it into action.
The barrier to entry right now, if you're a producer, is that's millions and millions of dollars investment. And it's holding these people that are quite good out.
I'm going to make a go of it, and I'm going to grow some cannabis, and I'm going to grow for the masses, and I hope everybody likes it.
Obviously, edibles, the 1,000 milligrams and the 10 milligram, that just pushes people back to the black market.
I'm not certain where the bug in the bonnet came from on edibles. Like there's definitely, like somebody has a real idea about edible cannabis and its negative impact on Canadians.
Future is getting rid of that 15% flow through markup. You know, giving producers the extra little bit to work with us, you know, provide free shipping, throw in a t-shirt, whatever the fuck they need to do, right?
We need to start looking into other provinces and figuring out how we can work together and utilize our strengths.
For First Nations communities too, you know, there's definitely a lot more work to be done there. We saw that recently at the BC Cannabis Summit in Kelowna. You know, a big, you know, interplay and opportunity around the First Nations conversation. And we have a lot of work to do, as we can see coming out of that.
We need to build something solid so that the next generations to come are ready for it, you know, and they can start having the fun part.
As a country, we should invest in, like, not just the, you know, plant touching and the retail. We should embrace tourism as an opportunity.
It's just low-hanging tourism fruit for everybody. It's job creation.
I mean, international destination, like the Token Trail. I mean, that would be incredible.
Eventually, we want to see like indoor consumption. It doesn't have to be just a smoke lounge. It could be a vape lounge, dab lounge.
Bringing down costs is ginormous. We're going to have a chance to really win for our industry for a bit.
We need to build regulations that accommodate the skill set and not try and force the skill set into a regulatory framework.
Couldn't agree more.
It's about not just pulling my brand, but this whole industry needs a lift.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? They need something that they can truly get behind.
We've been really good at interacting on the provincial down level, but the federal piece it's complicated.
You just got to chip away.
At the end of the day, there's a lot of work to do, especially on the economics and the inclusion and the overall economic viability and sustainability of it. So that's really what we're committed to at RCCBC.
We're ready to keep growing, but the more people that get on board and start working with their municipalities and utilizing our resources and just combining efforts, this is how we grow faster.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's embedded, it's started, you know what, we love what we're passionate about, we'll keep doing, we keep fighting, we keep growing, we don't stop. And people come here for that voice, for that energy, for that vibration.
There's literally no limit to what we can achieve through this plant.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Dude.
Let's go.
Let's go, guys. Keep growing.
Jeff, pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Right on, yeah.
Thanks, Kevin.
I appreciate it.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Keep up the great work, Brittany.
Thank you so much.
I really appreciate you inviting us down.